Hi everyone. I'm recording a lot of videos at the moment because it's the bank holiday weekend, so I've had 4 lovely days off work and I'm starting a new planner, new bullet journal. So I've actually got something to show you. Today I wanted to make a video about my bullet journal, but specifically what my bullet journal is for me and what it isn't, what I set it up to do, and what I want it to be able to give back to me, and talking about what I don't set it up for. So if you don't know what a bullet journal is, the original purpose of a bullet journal, I either suggest you read this book, The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll, or watch his videos on YouTube or go to his website. The bullet journal concept has been heavily adapted with the videos that have come out, especially in the past 5+ years. They've come a long way since Ryder's original bullet journal, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I see a lot of from companies trying to use the bullet journal to market their products, so for example stationery websites, stationery shops online, saying, do you like bullet journals? Have you not heard of a bullet journal? Here, have a look at some photos of these highly decorated beautiful pages and buy these products because you can replicate these pages with them. So for example, pens and stencils and stuff. Or people who've come into bullet journaling and making videos on it saying, hi, this is my new bullet journal, I've just set it up, I'm so excited because I've watched my first bullet journal videos a few days ago and now I've got one and I've set one up. Those highly decorated ones aren't actually what the bullet journal originally was. So I would recommend you watch Ryder's videos or go to his website to see what the bullet journal originally was, because I think it will help you understand the concept of the bullet journal, specifically what it originally intended to be, what Ryder set it up to be. If you want a really in-depth version of that, please do read this book. But obviously over time and with the use of different, what people need their planner to do, their bullet journal to do, it has evolved over time, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that people coming into it need to understand what the bullet journal is capable of, not just what you see on YouTube, because if you watch a few videos, they might not show you everything that a bullet journal is capable of. But obviously if people have been using bullet journals for a few weeks or a few months, they adapt them to their own needs, and that is certainly what I've done. So now that I'm setting up my new bullet journal, I have occasion to question what goes into my bullet journal, what I need, what I don't need, what I need to adopt, and what I can let go. So I haven't set much up in here, so I'm not actually going to show you really what's in here. I might flick to a few pages, but I'm going to show you what's in here. This is my old bullet journal, which I actually stopped using after a while, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I've been using bullet journals on and off for several years, and although my usage has changed and the way that I've set them up has changed, and my understanding of what the bullet journal is for has changed, and what I need it to be now is different than what I needed it to be 5 years ago. I think that my use of a bullet journal in the previous 2 that I've used, including this one and the one before it, which were from last year and the year before, have basically stayed very, very similar, if not almost identical. And I certainly do use this one to set up this one. So I'm just going to show you mainly this one and use my notes that I've got next to me to do the discussion for this video. So what is my bullet journal and why have I set it up that way, and what do I actually need it to do? So the first thing that I use my bullet journal for, and this is, I think, very similar to what other people use their bullet journal for. I'm actually going to show you from this, my new one, and this might be in contrast to what Ryder originally used or invented his concept of the bullet journal for, is a planner. I believe that Ryder, although he has monthly pages in his planner, he doesn't actually necessarily use it as a forward planner, whereas I do. So I have drawn these monthly pages in for the rest of the year. It's now April, so I've drawn April to December, and this is the most important thing in my planner at the moment because I haven't yet really started using it. So using my planner for forward planning in the months is the most important thing, and that is at the moment what my planner is mainly for and what my bullet journal is mainly for. I am going to be trying to use these monthly pages for my everyday planning, not necessarily really for this week's planning, but certainly for next week and onwards. And the reason why I'm not 100% sure about that is because I'm going to see how it goes. I don't actually have very much to plan besides my to-dos. So I'm going to see if I don't need to use a weekly planner page. I might have to change that, but certainly for everything beyond the current week, I'm going to be using my monthly grids. So that is the first thing. My planner is going to, my bullet journal is primarily going to be a planner. The second thing that my bullet journal is going to be is a place where I can note all my tasks. So I'm just going to flick to one of these daily log pages. So this is the page where every day I write the name of the day, you know, Wednesday the 29th or whatever, and I just write down everything that I think of that I need to write down as my future stuff that needs doing, or even things that I have today as appointment or whatever. I don't have many appointments. I go to work, I come home, that's it. I've got a few concerts booked, well, concerts and musicals and stuff like that that have been postponed and then postponed again, obviously, over the past year. I know when they are currently planned for, but they might change. But besides that, I don't have any future plans because it's 2021 and everything's been cancelled so far. So, I don't have many things to do to write for the actual day. So mainly what these pages are is a brain dump for things I think of that I need to do in future tasks or today's tasks. So that is the second thing that my bullet journal is. It's a place to dump the things that are currently on my mind. Now, it might not just be to-dos, it might be something that I need to note on a list. So, for example, a shopping list, or, you know, something like that. I'm trying to look through my things. Oh, maybe something that I'm waiting for, or something like that. But yeah, it's mainly a place to just dump everything that's on my mind. And then I go through and process it later. Migrate it to somewhere that it needs to go, whether it be a monthly page as a future appointment or future to do, a list page, out of this book and into another book like a Filofax or something where I'm, you know, got subject specific plans, that kind of thing. But for me, this is one of the key things that is in my bullet journal. The third thing is high level planning, and I'm not going to be able to show you a page for that because I haven't perfected it yet. High level planning is going to be something that I'm working on continuously, so I'll do a video on that in the future. I don't really have much to say about that at the moment because I haven't really been doing it, and that is one of the reasons why I've come away from my Filofax, because, well, not that I couldn't high level plan in my Filofax, but I haven't been, and so I guess I have this idea that if I haven't been using a planner effectively, it's the planner's fault, and if I change it to a different type of planner, then it will work for me. And I know that's a silly idea because it obviously hasn't in the past. The problem is me and me not actually sitting down and doing it. But I don't carry my Filofax around with me because I don't want to drop it and break the rings. So maybe I'll be able to sort of work on my plans better if I keep this in my bag with me, and maybe on my lunch break I can do some planning. But then I don't think I'm going to actually be using my bullet journal out of the house other than writing stuff down on these pages, these daily logs. So I don't know if that idea is going to work. The next thing that I use my bullet journal for is reference pages when I'm out and about. As I said, I plan to take it out in my handbag with me, and so although I haven't got much in here, and I used to have more in my previous planners that I took out the house with me, here is a page that I will be referring to a lot, which is mainly important phone numbers, my mum's work rota, which has changed since then, and the bus timetable that has changed since then. So that is important for me because I refer to these things regularly. Well, not the phone numbers, obviously I have those in my phone, but if I lose my phone I can refer to them. The fifth thing that I'm going to be using it for is notes on scrap paper. So I haven't got any in here at the moment, but when I've completed a daily page, so as you can see up here, I've got a tick in the box, and that means that I have finished everything that's on these pages, or at least I've migrated them to where they need to go. I don't need to refer to these pages anymore, so I then just get a piece of scrap paper and I washi tape it in, and that is where I do my notes. I very rarely put notes in my actual daily logs. I'm trying to look on this page if I have any, and I don't. I would be able to see by a small black dot. That isn't actually a black dot, that's a little circle, so that means an appointment. But if I had a black dot, then it would indicate that I've got a note. I might put a really quick note in there, but that would be like a 1-line or 2-line thing. But if I need to actually make more notes, I would stick a piece of scrap paper in there and use that for that. I don't actually write many notes in here besides the scrap paper, and I'll come on to that in a second. And number 6 is a place to record progress on long-term things or ongoing things. I haven't actually found a page in here where I've got that. Let me see if I can find one. So that would, for example, be here. My books that I was reading at that time. I haven't really read much more of these. I finished Blink. I've not read much more of God's Secret Agents, and the reason for that is I lost my place and now I have to go back to the start of the chapter, but the start of the chapter was a long way away from where I think I lost the page, but it's a really in-depth book, so I do need to go back to the beginning of that chapter, and so I'm just getting, you know, I just need to start that chapter again, and I can't be bothered at the moment. I haven't finished reading the bullet journal book. Yeah, and there's other ones that I'm going to restart. Gathering the Shadows, probably, because I just want to reread it from the beginning because I stopped. Yeah, so basically this is one of the pages where I record the progress on something. Other examples are if I'm trying to build my stamina in my fitness, I would have a page where I would note how long I've managed to spend at the gym before either getting bored, which is part of my problem with stamina, or getting tired. My sleeve's in the way. So that's something I'm definitely going to be putting in my bullet journal. That is part of me recording things. So that's one of the purposes of a bullet journal. It's a journal. That's, you know, the reason it's not only a planner, or it's not really a planner, it's a journal. So that's one of the things I guess I'm journaling. And I forgot to mention when I was talking about high level planning, one of the things that I'm using for a planner is that I'm putting planning pages in here. So I'm just going to find one as an example. So I've got my currently pages, which are part of my planning, and here's my main one. So I have some tasks that I repeat throughout the month, and I've noted on here when they need to get done. I then copy them into my monthly pages, and then I can actually note those tasks on my daily log, so I know what I need to do that day. So that is one of my planning reference pages that I can transfer to the current day to be able to action these tasks. And then that currently spread, when I don't have anything else to do, I can refer to this and work on these projects. Let's see if I can find another one. No, that's just a reference page. That's another reference page. I should have prepared this, sorry. Catch up to-dos, that's another one. Stuff I need to catch up on. So I'm continuously using my bullet journal as a reference source to be able to make sure that I spend my time well, that I have a high level of productivity, so that I refer to these pages where I have sort of mapped out what I should be spending my time on, to be able to plan my month or week or day out as effectively as possible and actually get my tasks done. So because I could be sitting on the bus and planning, or in my lunch break, I could use my Filofax to store these pages, but I want them to be with me, so I use my bullet journal for that. So I guess that's what I do use my bullet journal for. But what I don't use my bullet journal for is a few things. So I already talked about the notebook. I don't use it as a notebook. I don't just suddenly flick to a page and start just writing about a book I'm reading, or drawing sketches of something that I'm thinking of, you know, designing or problem solving or whatever. I don't use it for that. I've done that in the past and I've regretted it, because the pages in these books are finite. I don't want to be using a page for something that I don't need in there long term. And that's another thing that I don't use the bullet journal for. Temporary things. I do use it for some things that I won't ever refer back to, but those things that I've used it for were long-term things. So for example, let's say I'm doing the Couch to 5K app, which is over the course of, oh my gosh, I can't think of how many weeks, but over the course of some weeks, you build up from basically not running at all to being able to run 5 kilometers in half an hour. I I think it is in my previous bullet journal before this one, I had a spread about that, and I would tick it off when I'd accomplished each day's, running. So once I finished that, I would never refer back to it, but that was something that was over the course of a few months. But I wouldn't use these pages for something that was temporary. So for example, if I was going on a trip, I wouldn't use these pages for a packing list for that trip, because once I've finished packing, I never need to refer to that again. However, if I went on regular trips, I would have my standard packing list written in here. So there's that distinction between something that I'm only going to use for a very short time to something that I'm going to refer back to again and again and again, or something that I'm going to use over the course of a long time. So I don't use my bullet journal for temporary things. I also don't use it as a Dear Diary journal. I did do that in a previous bullet journal from many years ago, but I would use up quite a lot of space on the daily logs, and I didn't want to do that again. So as you can see, I try to keep things as short and precise as possible. I don't try to use too many lines for things. I might use 2 lines or 3 lines for something that I'm writing about, but no more than that. I try not to use too many pages for a week, and that's not, I don't have to limit it like that. It's just that I try to be as succinct as possible, and that's something that Ryder talks about in his book. So if I were to talk about something, and I can write a lot, I'm sure you've seen from my videos and the fact that this is now 22 minutes, I can talk a lot, I can write a lot as well. So I don't want to be spending half a page writing about something so that I can't easily find something later because I've got half a page worth of writing on there, and I can't easily find where I'm writing about something that I need to quickly refer to. So I don't use it for that. Instead, I have I don't actually use it at the moment. I'm supposed to be using it, but I don't. I have a journal in my Vanderspec, and that's where I can write pages and pages and pages on something that I want to write about. Another thing that I don't write about, that I don't do in my bullet journal, is highly decorate my pages, because that's not me. I did used to, a long time ago, like 10 years ago, use stickers and washi tape and stuff like that, but I don't do that now, and there's several reasons for that. I don't want to be buying those things and paying out for stickers that I'm only going to be using once, and once they're stuck down, that's it. I don't want to be cluttering my pages. I want a kind of minimalistic bullet journal that I can quickly find what I need to find, and it's just not me. Where I use my stickers and decorate highly is in my journal. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with decorating, but that's just not what I do in my bullet journal. I do that in my planner. Not my planner, my journal, in my actual Vanderspec. But I want to have a caveat for that. If you saw my video yesterday, you will see that I did start to decorate. And so I think I want to draw a distinction between highly decorated, which looks like there's stickers and washi tape everywhere, and there's more focus, that your eye is more drawn to the decoration than it is to the actual words in the planner, compared to doing the odd pretty thing. And the odd pretty thing I mean is, like, for example, around the names of these months, you can't even see that very well, I've I've drawn some pretty designs, and also I've traced in some mandalas. They, to me, are on the less in-your-face type of decoration than what I've seen on some videos. And I don't want to say that those videos are, you know, there's anything wrong with them, those bullet journals or anything, there's anything wrong with them. I just want to say that I don't do that. So that's what I did in the video yesterday. I just want to make sure that when I use my bullet journal, when I need to be able to refer to something quickly, find it quickly, I'm not being distracted by the drawings or pictures or stickers or whatever I might put in here. However, I have decided that I do need to decorate somewhat. And the reason why I've decided that, as I mentioned in my video yesterday, is because one of the reasons why I stopped using my bullet journals in the past is because they weren't decorated at all. So I found them boring, so I stopped using them. So I've decided that I do want to make it pretty to some extent. Now, this picture obviously takes a bit of space away from the page, but I think this is going to be my index page, so it's not going to get in the way too much because I don't actually write too much on my index pages. And then this page here, I'm going to actually write over this mandala, so that's not a problem. But they're just going to be a bit of fun, a bit of colour in a book that would otherwise I'd get bored of. And then also what I'm going to be doing in my bullet journal is trying to make it something that makes me smile when I open it. I used to put a few things in my filofaxes, my personal size filofaxes that I used when I was at uni. So for example, pictures of me and my classmates at graduation, pictures of my pets and that kind of thing, sentimental things, and that made me smile when I opened it. And so I want to do that again. I want to enjoy using it. So that is something that I'm going to be doing. So that is kind of what I wanted to say today. I've probably forgotten something, but that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And I know that what I've said may be nuanced, it may be different than what you think. There may be a distinction between journal and journal, you know, two different types of journals. It makes sense in my head. And I know it may not make sense in your head, but I've developed this over a couple of years, so as long as it makes sense to me, that's what matters. So thanks for watching, and I'm going to carry on setting up my bullet journal, and then I'll do a flip through of it in future, but it's all going to be very similar to my previous bullet journal videos, so maybe you want to go back and have a look at that. I'll see if I can find one that I'm happy with, and then I'll link it below if you want to see my previous bullet journal. So thanks for watching. Bye.